good day, guys. This is Mr. Marlon De Vera, your teacher in mathematics in the modern world. So, first of all, how are you? I hope you are all safe from where you at. Sana okay kayong lahat. This video is a discussion video regarding our topics in mathematics in the modern world. This will become our intervention sa mga nangyayari ngayon. So I hope na lahat kayo ay makapag-access kahit papano in order for you to learn even you are at home. Okay, so for our discussion for this day, it's a continuation of our discussion in our subject. So we are now at chapter 3. It's all about data management. Okay, so in data management, we will be catering the concept of statistics and some of the statistical treatment that we use in data management. But before that, we have to discuss the definition, the concept, the process in statistics. Okay, so let's start. So let's first discuss what statistics is. So basically, lagi nating naririnig sa statistics even nowadays dahil sa sitwasyon natin ngayon, we really need statistics. And statistics is basically a method in mathematics in collection, tabulation, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of numerical quantitative data. It is a collection kasi in statistics, we often collect data in order to process as statistics, and after we collect, we tabulate the collected data. So hindi lang siya nag-i-end that we collect data, we also tabulate para mas maging organized yung ating data, and then after we tabulate, we present it. So there are many ways to present data. Then after we present the data, we analyze the data. So it is important to analyze the data para makita natin kung ano nga ba yung trend, kung nasaan nga ba yung data na yon, if ano yung nire-represent ng data na yon. And after you analyze, it is important to interpret the data because through your analysis, doon natin makikita kung ano yung mga nire-represent ng ating mga na-collect na data. So hindi mag-work yung statistics without these processes. So we have to collect, to tabulate, to present, to analyze, and to interpret the data. So I use the mnemonics CTPI to indicate the processes in statistics. Kasi in statistics, hindi lang dapat we just present, hindi lang dapat we just analyze, but we have to do these processes para maging reliable and valid yung mga result na makukuha natin in statistics. Okay? So in order for statistics to be materialized, we have what we call data. Okay. Let's imagine na meron tayong burger machine. Kapag meron tayong burger machine, we do have raw materials like buns, burger patties, tomato, mayonnaise, ketchup, cheese. So those material, we call that as raw material. And if we put that in burger machine, the output will be a burger. So obviously, in statistics, we relate statistics as process like burger machine. So in order to have some inputs in our statistics, we use data as its raw materials. Kasi without this data, wala tayong ipapasok dun sa process natin, which is the statistics. So data is the observations made on a particular variables of individuals or entities under investigation. So there are many kinds of data. So later on, we'll be discussing that. Okay? So data. Okay. Kung meron tayong nakuhang maraming set or maraming data So, hanggang makabuo tayo ng isang group of data. Okay? Group of data. Okay? From our previous discussion, we also discussed this group. So, basically, hindi tayo ganon ka-unfamiliar with this. So, if we have group of data, so that group of data, we call that as our data set. Okay? Data set kasi set siya ng ating mga data. So, data set represents the set of observations made on different variables of individuals or entities under investigation. So, example of our data set, we have, for example, name. So, yung malaking data set natin na name, pwede tayong mag-enter ng ating mga elements, just like, for example, Mario. So, Mario is a name. So, therefore, it is an element of this data set name. Example, we have Lisa. Okay? So, Mario and Lisa, since these are names and it came from a group, okay? So, these elements can come from a certain data set, and we call that data set as the name. So, ito yung tatawag nating data in data set. Okay? So, since medyo maliit yung ating board, we'll just erase and erase. Okay? Next, we have variables. Okay? So, in statistics, we have what we call variables. So, ano nga ba yung mga tinatawag nating variable? Okay? Madalas itong variable na to in mathematics, we commonly denote that as a letter or as a alphabetical value. Okay? We common use X in mathematics, di ba? As our variable. So basically, kapag yung isang value, yung isang data set natin is unknown, then we call that as our variable. So it is a quantity that can assume any of the range or prescribed set of values. So it is a characteristic that manifests differences in magnitude. So we call that as our variable. Okay? So as part of that variable, if yung isang quantity natin ay hindi na unknown, so basically meron na siyang single fixed value, then that quantity will become our constant. Okay? Nagiging constant na siya kasi meron na siyang single fixed value. Meron na siyang value. Okay? So, kaya tinawag natin siyang constant. Kaya in mathematics, diba, we have what we call variable and a constant. Okay? Kung constant, for example, in getting the area of the circle, the area of circle is equal to pi r square. Syempre yung r natin, it will become our variable kasi unknown pa siya, kasi input pa lang natin siya. Pero yung pi natin, yun yung tinatawag natin constant kasi meron na siyang single fixed value, which is 3.14 and so on. Okay, so that's the differences between variable and a constant. Okay, so a variable can be classified into different classification. Okay, kasi meron tayong iba't ibang variable according to its characteristics. Okay, if we do have variable na mostly ay it is more on description, that variable, we call that as our qualitative variable. Qualitative siya from the word quality, so it is one that cannot be ordered in some dimensions, and classifications are merely labeled. Okay, example of our qualitative variables are, for example, yung example natin kanina, name. Qualitative kasi ang nilalagay natin is more on characteristic, description. Hindi siya numerical value. Okay, so we have for example of name, Mario, Lisa. Another example of our qualitative variable, school. Okay, kapag naglalagay naman tayo ng school, we don't write 1, 2, unless na naglagay tayo ng value ng ating mga school. But basically, dahil names yung nilalagay, name of school din yung nilalagay natin, then it is considered as qualitative variable. Next type of variable, we have what we call quantitative variable. Okay, so quantitative, from the word quantity, ibig sabihin is a variable that assumes values which are either discrete or continuous. So for example natin dyan ay age. So kapag naglalagay tayo ng variable na age, we write as a fixed value. For example, I am 24 years old, so I will write 24. Okay, so that is quantitative variable. It's more on numerical variable. So yung quantitative variable natin nahati sa dalawa. So we have discrete variable. So this discrete variable is one in which there are finite number of values that can occur between points with respect to the variable. So discrete siya. Big sabihin ay meron siyang fixed, meron siyang finite number of values na nilalagay natin. And the other type of quantitative variable, yan, we have what we call the continuous variable. Okay, continuous siya, ibig sabihin these are variables with fractional value exist and have meaning. Ibig sabihin continuous, tuloy-tuloy yung value. For example, we have pi. So pi is a continuous variable kasi excuse me, meron siyang fractional value na nag-exist na tuloy-tuloy, from the word continuous. So discrete is also known as discontinuous quantitative variable. So we have discrete and continuous as part of our quantitative variable. So in variables din, in terms of experiment, meron tayong tinatawag na independent variable and dependent variable. Independent and so hindi na sumusulat. Dependent variable. Okay, dependent and independent variable. For example, sabihin natin pag independent ka, ibig sabihin kaya mo nang mag-isa. So independent variable in an experiment, it is a variable that is systematically manipulated by the investigator, while dependent variable in an experiment is a variable that the investigator measures to determine the effect of independent variable. So, yung dependent variable, ito yung nakaasa pa rin yung value niya dun sa magiging value ng ating independent variable. For example, if in this scenario, we have, for example, I have to push a ball. So, given, let's assume na yung bola na yon, yung place natin na pagtatapunan ng ating bola is walang haharang. Okay? At sabihin natin walang mag-i-intervene doon sa bola na yon. So magtutuloy-tuloy lang siya. So kapag tinulak ko yung bola na yon, magde-differ yung distance niya doon sa force na ilalagay natin. So kapag malakas yung force ko, definitely mas malayo yung mapupuntahan yung distansya. Tama? So kapag mahina naman yung force ko, mas maikli or mas maikli yung mapupuntahan yung distansya. So basically, yung force natin doon, it is known as our independent variable kasi hindi naman nakadepende yung force natin doon sa distansya ng ating bola. But basically, yung distansya naman ng bola, yun naman yung nakadepende doon sa ating force na nilalagay. So the first force is the independent variable while the distance is our dependent variable. Okay, so that's the difference between our variables. So we have variables and constant. So there are two classifications of variables. We have qualitative variables and quantitative variables. Quantitative variables is divided into two. We have discrete or discontinuous variable, we have continuous variable. We have independent variable and we have dependent variable. Okay, so next we will be tackling levels of measurement. Okay, so levels of measurements are classified into four. So we have nominal scale. So yung nominal scale, actually yung dalawa doon tas yung dalawa doon parang they are just vice versa, parang magka-contrary lang sila. Okay, so we have our nominal variable, we have ordinal variable, we have interval, and our ratio variable. Yon. So for our nominal variable, so nominal variable is more on the system assigning number symbols to events in order to label them. So this type of measurement is lowest level, consisting classifying items or individuals into two or more categories. So nominal variables, ito yung mga tinatawag natin as categorical. Categorical kasi kina-categorize lang natin siya. Just like for example, nominal variable, we have sex. So it is just male or female, kina-categorize natin siya. Another example of our nominal variable is school attainment. Okay, so educational attainment. So ano nga ba yung educational attainment mo? Is it college graduate, high school graduate, college undergrad, elementary graduate? So kinakategorize natin yung mga data set na yun. So we call that measurement as nominal scale. So kapag ordinal naman, it's more on orders. Okay, so naka-order siya. So it specifies the relative position of items or individual with respect to the given characteristics with no indication as to the distance between points. So for example of our ordinal data or ordinal scale, birth order. So pang ilan ka ba sa family mo? So are you the first child, second child, third child? Or year level is also an ordinal measurement, because in year level you are classified, for example, first year, second year, third year, fourth year. So that is interval data, ordinal data. Okay, next we have interval data. So what is interval data? Interval scale possess the characteristics of an ordinal scale, and in addition the distance between any two numbers are on the scale are known size, while ratio scale has all the characteristics of interval scale, and in addition it has 0 as its point of origin. So pag sinabi nating ratio, yung 0 has no value. Okay, so pinagsabi ko na siya kasi may relationship tong dalawang to. So si ratio, tinatawag natin siyang ratio scale yung isang data set natin, dahil yung 0 has no value. Ibig sabihin kapag 0, wala talaga siyang value. Okay, so example, distance. So distance, kapag sinabing 0, wala talaga, walang distance. Pero interval scale, ito naman yung mga data na kung saan yung 0 ay may meaning. Okay, so in interval, 0 has meaning, while in ratio, 0 does not have meaning. Pag sinabing 0, wala talaga siya. Example of interval data, we have temperature. Pag sinabi nating 0 degrees Celsius, so freezing point, so ibig sabihin meron pa ring value yung 0 natin kapag sa temperature. So temperature falls under our interval scale. So we have nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio as our level of measurement. Okay, so yung next naman na discussion natin is more on madali lang naman nating uh, ma ma-visualize to. So we're done with we will be having this process in statistics. So it is very important. Ito yung na topic natin. It's more on collection, data collection. So it is important sa statistics because dito nag-start yung ating statistics sa collection of our data. So there are different ways to collect data. So we have number one, observation. So observation. So basically yung observation kahit sa classroom environment, we do observation. So the needed information and the characteristic of the units are collected by actual measurement. So in observation, we don't just observe one person, but we observe the group. Kasi pag ino-observe lang natin yung isang tao, depends on the study. Pero kapag ino-observe lang natin yung isang tao in our experiment, nagkakaroon ng bias minsan. So, dapat in observation, mas maganda kapag mas malaki yung ino-observe natin and we do it frequently. Ibig sabihin, madalas. Kasi kapag hindi natin dinadalasan yung observation, bumababa din yung reliability ng observation natin. So, napakahalaga yung observation. Okay? Another data collection process, we use interview. Okay, interview. So the researcher prepares set of questions which are usually answered by the respondents verbally and recorded by the researcher. So in interview, we commonly do this specifically kapag gusto nating mag-gather ng napakalaking set ng information. Okay? So para siyang freelance questioning. So, dito lumalabas din yung pag-develop natin ng mga follow-up question. So, the advantages of interview is, yun nga, kapag may gusto ka pang itanong, gusto mo pang mas lalong laliman yung gusto mong malaman dun sa topic na yun, you can have interview. But the disadvantages of interview, yun, time-consuming siya, and besides, sa sobrang dami ng information na pwede nating mag-gather, mahihirapan din tayong i-deduce yung mga data na yon. Ano ba yung mga dapat lang natin kunin? So, dapat yun din yung tatandaan natin in our interview. Okay, next, we have what we call questionnaire. So, in questionnaire, there's a well-planned written question in questionnaire which are given to the target respondents to complete. So, ang pagkakaiba ni questionnaire sa interview, itong si questionnaire may mga set of questions na nakaplano na. So, ano-ano nga lang ba yung kailangan mong matanong dun sa ating mga respondents. So, ang advantages ng questionnaire, kahit hindi ikaw yung mag-conduct personally, pwede mong gawin kasi pwede mo lang ibigay yung question. Okay? So, dun din sa questionnaire dahil may mga questions na naka-specified na madali na lang na mag-deduce ng mga data, ano ba yung mga kailangan mong data, so nandun na kaagad. Pero the disadvantage of questionnaire, hindi ka magkakaroon ng follow-up question. Okay, so yun naman yung kaibahan ng questionnaire sa interview. And then last one, we have a data collection experimentation or experiment. Okay, so in experimentation, it is approach of discovering what facts really are with the use of experimental design. So hindi ibig sabihin ng experimentation nasa laboratory lang. So we can use experiment sa classroom. Okay, so we commonly use this experiment para mas makita natin kung ano yung pinagkaiba niya in other group or in other in groups. Okay, so pwedeng dun sa isa gagamitan mo ng experiment, we call that as our experimental group, tapos dun sa isang group gagamitan natin ng yung hindi natin ginawa ng intervention, and we call that as our control group. So napakalaga nitong mga data collection methods na to kasi excuse me, kasi dito natin makikita yung dito natin makukuha yung mga data na kukunin natin for statistics. So, minsan hindi lang interview yung ginagawa natin. We also use questionnaire. Pwedeng pagsabay natin si observation and experimentation with interview para mas makakakuha tayo ng mga data na kakailanganin natin in our statistics. Okay? So, there are different sources of data. So, we have primary source and secondary source. So, I know you're familiar with that. Pag sinabi nating primary source, it's more on coming from directly dun sa tao. So, for example, kapag nag-interview ka directly dun sa tao, yung information na makukuha mo is a primary source data. While secondary is a data taken, these are data taken from published or unpublished references. But sometimes, yung mga published references can be also considered primary sources. Just like, for example, an autobiography or diary. Yun. Kasi, syempre, directly yun dun sa taong sumulat. So, sometimes we do have published references na primary source. Okay? Okay, for our next discussion, summation notation. Okay, so summation notation is very important in statistics because there are very large number of data in statistics, and we commonly use summation in order to analyze and put some statistical or engage it with statistical treatments in statistics. Okay, so there are different various rules in summation notation. So, dito sa ating mga rule, is more on ano ba yung mga madaling paraan kapag naka-encounter tayo ng mga ganitong equation in summation. Okay, so for number 1 rule, we have if C, given that C is constant, we have the summation of C from 1 to n is equal to n times C. So, C is constant. So, example natin, we have the summation of 5 from 1 to 3. Then, by using the definition of summation, we get 5 plus 5 plus 5. Kasi yun lang yung constant natin. X sub 1 plus X sub 2 plus X sub 3 from 1 to 3. Then we get 15. Okay? But when we use n multiply to C, where n yung order natin hanggang saan C is constant, then summation of 5 from 1 to 3 will be equal to n, which is 3, and our C 5 equal to 15. So that is the first rule, na kapag kinuha daw natin yung summation ni constant will be equal to n times C. Okay? So that's our first rule. Okay? Second rule, we have the summation of C, which is constant, multiply to X sub I, which is a sequence from 1 to n, is equal to C summation multiply to the summation of X sub I from 1 to n. Okay, given that C is constant and X sub I is our sequence. Okay, so for example, we have the sequence 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, we get the summation of 2 X sub I from 1 to 4. So, by using the definition of summation, then we get 2 times X sub 1, which is 1, plus 2. So, ito yung gagawin natin in every terms. 2 times X sub I. 2 times X sub 2, kasi tapos na natin si X sub 1. 2 times X sub 2 is 2. So, we have X sub 1, X sub 2, X sub 3, and X sub 4. Then 2 times X sub 3, which is 3, and 2 times X sub 4, which is 4. Then we get 2 times 1, 2, 2 times 2, 4, 2 times 2, 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, then 2 plus 4, 6 plus 6, 12 plus 8, we get 20. Okay, next we have C, summation of x sub I from 1 to n. Okay, or gamitin na natin to. Okay, the summation of 2 times x sub I from 1 to 4, then we get C. So what is your C? C is 4 times the summation of x sub I. Summation of x sub I is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Take note that the summation of x sub I from 1 to n is equal to x sub 1 plus x sub 2 plus x sub 3 plus hanggang kay x sub n. So since x sub 4 lang tayo, we get the summation of x sub 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have 4 times 1 plus 2 plus 3 and 4. We have 10. This is 2. So 2 times 10, we get 20. Okay, so we have the same answer. So ang sinasabi dun, ano ba ang madaling paraan? Is it this one or this one? So basically, itong second na term natin, second na solution natin, yung madali using summation notation rule number 2. Okay, so yun. So if we have constant and a sequence, okay, so that's rule number 2. Next rule, we have rule number 3. Summation of quantity A times x sub I plus B times y sub I from 1 to n is equal to A summation of x sub I from 1 to n plus B times summation of y sub I from 1 to n, where A and B are constants. Okay, so for example, we do have two sequence x sub I be equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and y sub I be equal to 2, 4, 6. Then gusto natin kunin si summation of 2x sub I plus 3y sub I from 1 to 3. Then we solve that. So 2 times x sub 1, so ito yung terms natin. So 2 times your x sub 1, x sub 2, x sub 3, x sub 4, y sub 1, y sub 2, and y sub 3. 2 times x sub 1, so we have 1 plus 3 y sub 1, which is 2, plus, okay, plus we have 2 times x sub 2, which is 2, plus 3 times y sub 2, which is 4, plus 2 times your x sub 3, 3, plus 3 times your y sub 3, which is 6. Okay, so hanggang 3 lang tayo kasi yung n natin is 3. So hanggang x sub 3 and y sub 3 lang tayo. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 times 2 is 4, plus 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 times 3, we have 6, plus 3 times 6 is 18. Then we have 2 plus 6 is 8, 4 plus 12 is 16. Then we have 6 plus 18, 24. So 8 plus 16 plus 24, we have 48. Okay, by using this, we have summation of 2x sub I 2x sub I plus 3y sub I. So ito pa rin from 1 to 3. So by using this, what is your A? Your A is 2 times the summation of x sub I. Summation of x sub I is 1 from 1 to 3. So we have 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus your B, which is 3, times the summation of y sub I, 2 plus 4 plus 6. 2 plus 4 plus 6. So you have 2 times 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6 plus 3 times 2 plus 4 plus 6 is 12. So you have 12 plus 36, which is equal to 48. Okay, so that's rule number 3. Okay, ito yung equation natin dito, and ito yung solution natin for this one. Okay, so we found out that they are equal, okay, by using rule number 3. Next rule, we have rule number 4. So in rule number 4, sabi doon, if we have the summation of x sub I plus c, which is a constant from 1 to n, then it is definitely a summation of x sub I from 1 to n plus nc. Yung nc natin galing sa rule number 1. Okay? Take note, galing dun sa rule number 1 natin. Okay? So, for example, we have a sequence 1, 2, 3. Then we get summation of our x sub I plus 3 from 1 to 3. Then we have x sub I, or x sub 1, 1 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3. And then we have 3 plus 3. So we have 4 plus 5 plus 6, which is equal to 15. So x sub 1 is 1, x sub 2 is 2, x sub 3 is 3, plus yung constant natin na 3. Then by using this one, we'll just have the summation. So let's copy the example. We'll have the summation of x sub I, which is 1 plus 2 plus 3, kasi hanggang x sub 3 lang tayo, plus your constant 3 times the n. So you have 3 times 3. 3 is the n, 3 is the constant. So we have 1 plus 2 plus 3, we get 6, plus 9, we have 15. Okay, so these are the rules in summation notation. Okay, next we have data presentation. So data presentation is very important kasi it is where we analyze data that we collected in statistics. Okay, so there are many ways to present data. So there are many ways to present data. Number 1, we have in textual form. So in textual form, from the word text, so it's definitely description of the data. So for example, gamitin natin example. So in a class, merong 35 na males and 28 na females. Okay, 38 na males and 28 na females. So paano natin siya gagawin in textual form? So pwede natin sabihin that in a class there are 35 males and 28 females. This is textual form. Next, presentation of data, we have tabular form. So tabular form is a form of data arrangement using columns and rows. So basically using table. Okay, so given our example, kapag ginagay natin sa ating tabular form. Okay, so for example, this is the class, this is the male, this is the female, then you have 35 and 28. So this is tabular form. And last one, we have graphical form. So we are familiar with this. There are many types of graph. So if we use graph in presenting data, it is called graphical form. So for example, dun sa example natin, we use bar graph. So this is male, this is female. So 35, 28, this is a form of graphical form. Okay, so kung titingnan natin itong tatlo, pare-paras lang sila ng nire-represent, which is 35 males and 20 females, but they are presented in different forms. So we have textual form, tabular form, and graphical form. So to discuss the different types of graph, para familiar tayo dun sa iba't ibang klase ng graph. Okay, so we do have examples of this kinds of graph. So number one, we have what we call bar graph. Okay, so familiar tayo sa bar graph. Yung ginawa natin kanina is a kind of bar graph. It represents the frequency or magnitude of quantities. Kanina we use the bar graph para makita natin kung gaano karami yung lalaki sa babae, para mas makita natin yung distansya ng dalawa. So yung tsura ng bar graph natin, just like yung ginamit natin kanina, is like this one. So this is a bar graph. Okay, next one, so familiar din tayo dito, lagi natin ginagamit. We do have the line graph. So dito sa line graph naman, commonly ginagamit natin to signify decrease or increase of our data. So dito makikita natin yung peak, okay, ng mga points natin from our x-axis versus to our y-axis. So we call that as our line graph. Next type of graph, we have what we call pie graph. Okay, pie graph. So dito naman sa pie graph, it's more on representation of part of a whole. Kaya medyo karamihan dito we use fractional type of data. Okay, so dito gusto natin, for example, malaman kung gaano kadami yung lalaki sa babae. So gaya ng sabi ko, it should be part of a whole kasi makikita natin kung gaano yung part, for example, this is the female, yung part ng female dun sa whole class. Okay, so that's the difference between pie graph versus bar graph and line graph. Dito laging merong whole, so kailangan makita natin yung whole to identify the parts of the pie. Next, we have the pictograph. Okay, so in pictograph, it's more on a visually placing graph. So we commonly use this pictograph in infographics. Just like for example, kung gusto natin identify si male, gumagawa tayo ng image ng male. Okay, para ma-identify natin or makita natin visually yung male. And commonly, yung mga ganitong pictograph, may mga legend. So, yung isang picture na ganyan, it means 10 males. So, ibig sabihin, there are 30 from this example. Females. So, for example, females. Yan. So, in cases na meron tayong mga half or hindi buo in our pictograph, may mga nire-represent din yan. For example, this is equal to 25. Okay, so kalahati ng ating picture dun sa legend natin will become this type of representation. So we have male and female. We call that as pictograph. Next, we have a statistical map. So statistical map, more on geographical location. Okay, so karamihan naman ito, it's more on mapping. So makakita tayo ng map. Tapos sa map na to, itong part na to, ano to, This one, what is this? Saan yung location ng respondents mo? Dito lang ba? Or kasama to? So we call that as a statistical map. And the last graph that we use, we do have the scatter plot. Dito sa scatter plot, we commonly use this one in incorporating correlation. So gusto natin makita yung correlation ng mga datas natin. So scatter plot kasi it consists of points. Yung points na yun yung nag-indicate ng isang respondent natin. Relationship siya kasi meron siyang x-axis and y-axis natin. So anong relationship ni x kay y given na yung data natin? Pwede silang gumawa ng trend. For example, isang line. So it can be increasing, decreasing, pwedeng normal. Okay, so lahat yon is under scatter plot. So these are our examples of graphical form of data presentation. So next topic natin will be discussing frequency distribution. So later on na natin madidiscuss yun.